Hi, I'm so happy to be here with Amelia on Politics, Books, and Me. I've printed out her questions and my answers. Why I felt I had to print them out, I couldn't tell you, but I do want to stay on point. So the first question is, she wants to know a little bit about me. Well, I assume you do too. So I like to say that I am the poster child for late bloomers. My first short story was published in 1994 when I was 40. My first book, The Gifts of Change, was published 10 years later when I was 50. And continuing on that path, I waited till I was 60 to publish my first short story collection, Traveling Left of Center and Other Stories. Now, at that rate, I don't have that many decades left for all the books that I wanted to publish, so I thought I better stop delaying, procrastinating, whatever you want to call it, and move on to turning out books a little faster. So between 2014 and 2020, I did release 3 books: Rut-Busting Book for Writers, Rut-Busting Book for Authors, and my second short story collection, Peripheral Visions and Other Stories, which came out May of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. Not the best timing in retrospect. However, on a brighter note, my third collection, Mistletoe Magic and Other Stories, will come out this December 2023, with a fourth collection, The Language of Love and Other Stories, coming out February 2025. So you can see I've moved along a little bit faster. Now, I should have stayed in my own lane. I should have just been happy as a short story writer, but I am not one who sits there and just kind of hangs out in one place. I'm always trying to push myself. Definitely not stuck in a rut. So I decided to explore writing a novel. And my first novel, Reinventing Rita. Here is my beautiful baby. She came out this June 2023, the year I turned 69. She's the first in my midlife Moxie novel series, and I am so happy to share with you that she was a second place winner in the International Fire Book Awards. And as of this interview, she's a semifinalist in the Florida Writers Association Royal Palm Competition. I'm so happy with my little girl. In 2024, next year, I will be releasing Finding Fran, which is the second novel in my Midlife Moxie novel series. My goal is to release 1 novel a year. Hey, I'm happy with that output, considering for a while there I was doing 1 book every 10 years. Okay, next question that I decided to answer among the myriad of ones that she provided. What is the first book I remember reading? Well, it's hard to really know that, because as soon as I was old enough to get a library card, I would hot-foot it to the library, bring home as many books. They would limit you on how many you could take out, as many books as I can, read them, and next week, following week, go back, return them, and get another batch. However, I do know that the book series by Enid Blyton, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, those were my all-time favorites. I mean, Famous Five, the whole 9 yards. For some reason, the name Kiki the parrot sticks in my mind, but I did love those. But I mean, I would read anything. I would read anything because I love to read. Then as I got older, I loved the Hardy Boys. Wasn't as much of a fan. I know it's a big deal with the Nancy Drew series. I was a bigger fan of the Hardy Boys, probably because I was a tomboy, so I really identified more with them. And I also liked reading stories that were set in other countries, because I liked it when, along with reading the story, I learned a little bit. I learned a little bit about what kids did, played with, whatever. Didn't even have to be contemporary. The Horse Without a Head, which I can't remember the author now, that was set, I think it was in post-World War II France. And I loved it. I loved reading what those kids were doing amidst the rubble that was left after the war. Another question, what's my favorite book? Again, I have way too many to mention, but those that have a special place on my nightstand, which is these books never leave my bedroom. They're always right there. So that if I want to read a little bit before I fall asleep, I know these are my sure favorites. One of my all-time must-have, to the point where I bought 2 copies, is The Writer on Her Work. And that was edited by Janet Sternberg. Loved that book. Just loved it. Agatha Christie's autobiography, another all-time favorite. Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh, and Writing a Woman's Life by Carolyn Heilbrunn. And of course, Alice in Wonderland. I still have the copy I read as a child. Periodically, I read it again. Didn't realize till I was an adult quite how bloodthirsty little Alice was. Loved to think about the cat getting the mice and whatever. But anyways, just loved it. Just loved it. Okay, how many hours a day do I write? I write. Matter of fact, I am I'm interrupting my writing time to do this interview so it will get done. I write every day. Every day. 7 days a week. I write every day. Even if I'm attending a book event or having to do something else, doing a workshop, whatever, I still write. I make time to write. Writing for me is a non-negotiable. I have to write. I have to write because I have to write. Okay, you have to breathe. I have to write. All right. Even if I'm not at my desk, I am still writing. I am writing while I'm mowing the grass. I am writing while I am washing dishes. I am writing while I'm cleaning the house, because I really hate to clean the house anyways. There's always some part of my mind, the writer's brain part, that is always writing, that is always either thinking about the whatever story I'm working on, or just listening to a character tell me something that I don't even know where it belongs yet. But I'm just always writing. The most difficult part of my artistic process. Okay. I love to write, obviously. I even kind of like editing because I look at that as a challenge. You know, I had done a lot of magazine writing in my day. So you would be given a word count and your first couple drafts would exceed it by 100, 200, 300, 400, whatever. So then the challenge is, can you edit it down to fit the word count and not lose anything important? So I bring that into my fiction writing because I always know, you know, we overwrite. So it's a challenge. Let's get it down. Let's tighten it up. Let's eliminate the unnecessary parts and just make it sharper. Okay, so I do like that. What part do I hate though? That's the very, very, very last stage before I send it off to a professional editor. Yes, I always use a professional editor, where I'm looking for those words that I love, those phrases that are my favorite, that surface way too many times in my stories, whether my novels, short stories, whatever. I keep a running list of those words, and then becomes the seek and find mission. Okay, I put the word in and see that it has now appeared in my 85,000 word manuscript 42 times. To me, that's a lot. So then you look at each one and you decide, do we actually need a word there? If we do need a word there, what other word can we choose? Now, it's not so easy as pulling up synonyms and replacing them, because then you run the risk of replacing one overused word with another overused word. So yes, not fun. Phrases in particular, there are certain phrases, you know, we have our favorite phrases. Now, it's fine if you assign a particular phrase to a particular character. Okay, fine, that becomes part of the character speech pattern. Not so fine if one of those phrases is assigned to more than one character because now you just got lazy and sloppy and repetitive. Yes, I hate that. When I was doing my final run through on Finding Fran, starting like 3 weeks ago before I sent it off to the editor, I foolishly thought, okay, I can knock this out a couple hours in the morning. It'll be done. Okay, 2 weeks of roughly 3 hours every morning, because even though you had this running list going, in the process of doing this, you do find out that there were other words and phrases that should be on your running list. And now you've got to find substitutes for them that either aren't already on your running list or are also repetitive words. Yes, it was the least fun. What's my favorite writing, snack, or drink? Coffee. And more coffee, and even more coffee. Luckily, I make extremely weak coffee. My son refers to it as brown water. So it's not a problem for me drinking that much coffee, but I do like my coffee, although I do try to drink a lot of water too. Do I listen to music while I write? No, because when I am writing, I need silence, okay? I need to hear what I'm writing. I need to hear the characters. I need to be there. And if I have music going on, that just disrupts my train of thought. Now, I might be running music while I am researching, that kind of stuff. But the actual writing process, no way, Jose, dead silence, don't bother me. Okay. Where do I get my ideas for my book, and what is my writing process like? Usually the way it starts is, I'm a pantser. A character says something. I hear this line of dialogue out of nowhere. It's not like I sat down and said, oh, I think I will write a story about XYZ. Almost all my fiction starts with dialogue. Character says something. I don't know what you're talking about. And so I have to listen for the next part and the next part. And then the story just kind of unfolds from there. Okay, so that's my process. Yes, there are challenges to being a pantser versus a plotter because you don't know where it's going. You run the risk of, going down little detours that ultimately have to be eliminated. But I do keep very good notes. I use a spreadsheet for details, character's age, birth date, key life events, just so that I can keep track. Anything peculiar. Allergies, hates, whatever. And I am a huge fan of endnotes. This comes back again from my magazine days. So I will endnote things. If in chapter 4, I have a specific description of the house that she's buying, then later when I refer to it, I go and I find that and post it as an endnote, just so I have those details right in front of me. I mean, I know it sounds very laborious, but you know what? It works for me. It just, whatever works for you is what you got to do. What else? Oh, if I have to look something up online, I do try to save not only the URL, but because we all know URLs can disappear, web pages can disappear. Also save it as a PDF. I mean, I save everything. This again goes back to my magazine days where you had to endnote and provide backup documentation for everything. So worked for me then, works for me now. How would I describe my book's ideal reader? And in this case, I'm talking about my novel series, Reinventing Rita, and also the entire Midlife Moxie novel series. And I say that it appeals to women in their late 40s and older who are in the process of redefining themselves, deciding, who do they want to be in this next phase? What do they want to explore? What can they do that they never tried before? Okay. What do I hope readers will take away from my books? First of all, that it's never too late to try anything. Again, poster child, late life reinvention. Age should not be an automatic barrier for what you can do. I mean, I am sure there are some things that you could have done, say, been a gymnast when you were 15, 16, 17, that when you are 70, maybe not as likely unless you're competing in the 70 age range. But in general, don't automatically say, well, I'm too old for this. I'm too old. It would be silly and ridiculous. Look at it as an adventure. Life is an adventure. So if there is something that you always wanted to try, whether it's writing, whether it's traveling, whatever it is, go ahead and do it. You never know unless you try. What's the worst that can happen? That is my philosophy, which has made my life interesting at times. What is the worst that can happen? Okay, the worst that can happen is you're going to fail. What did you learn from the failure? That you don't particularly want to ever do that again, or you're not very good at doing that. No big deal. Failure is not like some huge, horrible thing. Failure is just another step on the learning process. Where can people find my books? Well, all my books are available online. Many of them are actually on bookstore shelves. Not as many as I would like, but hey, it is what it is. But yes, you can get my books online. If you go to my website, www.nancychristie.com, click on the My Books tab, you will find information about all my books, links to wherever they are. You can find my books. Trust me, you can find my books. I'm always checking. Am I working on anything at the present that I would like to share? Of course, that is the whole point in doing this interview. Let's see, I am recording more videos for my Midlife Moxie novel series on YouTube. It's actually kind of fun. I divvy it up between doing like a book trailery kind of thing that's all images and a little bit of background music. I'm not any good at that. Luckily, Animoto is a very simple program to use, almost foolproof. So if I can use it, anybody can use it. And then I also do just short little me talking about whatever. I had uploaded a video on the empty nest syndrome, moving through the empty nest stage of life. I've got a couple more that I'm working on. So yeah, I'm trying to be, I'm more of an in-person person, but got to do videos because you can only travel so much. Of course, I'm writing my next book. So as I mentioned, Finding Fran, she will come out next year, God willing, and the creek don't rise. And that's assuming that the editor doesn't find anything so horrible that I have to rewrite the book from scratch. Don't see that happening, but. And then the one that will follow that and come out in 2025 is Moving Maggie. That one is still, I'm not even done writing it yet. I'm getting there, but I'm not done writing it yet. And then after that, then I got to cut it because it's like way too long. My advice for people who want to become writers. Okay, anybody who knows me knows there is nothing better to do than ask me for advice, because I will give it to you even if you didn't ask for it. Okay, first of all, work on developing your skill. Being a writer, that's an ongoing thing. That is something you never like hit the pinnacle and okay, I can never improve. Of course you can improve. We can all improve, right? Work on really perfecting your skill, developing your skill, identifying areas that you're not as good at, and learn in whatever way works for you to get better at it. Okay. Don't be in a hurry to publish. Just because you can upload a file and hey, presto, there it is, doesn't mean you ought to do it. This isn't a speed game. Okay. I hate these workshops, sorry, that say, oh, write a book in 24 hours and make it a bestseller. Not an option, people. This is not a race. This is about presenting a good story, a good book, nonfiction, fiction, whatever it is. Not about churning out X number of words in X number of minutes, because my mother had a saying, haste makes waste. Hated listening to it every time she pointed out, but she's absolutely right. Because if you write a bad book and people download it and they go, this book was so poorly done, and geez, she didn't even get it edited, do you think they're going to try your next book? I don't think so. So along those lines, get feedback, hire an editor. Yes, it costs money. Yes, it is worth the money. Revise as necessary to make the manuscript as good as it can be. And then you take off your writing hat and put on your marketing cap and learn how to market your book, because they will not market themselves. No, they won't. So that is my advice to you. Hardcore, I know, bossy, yes, I'm sure, but that is my advice to you. That is all I have to share. I hope you found this, I don't know, interesting, informative, entertaining, whatever. Just want to make this fun. Okay. I love to write. I love to write. I hope that came across. I hope you love to write, because it is a wonderful thing to be able to write. And I believe in the show notes, there's going to be links to social media and whatever. But in any case, if you go to www.nancychristie.com, NancyChristie.com, everything's there too. I'm always updating my website. Yes, if you have a website, make sure you update it. If you don't have a website, get a website. That is all I have to share. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you take time to go check out my books. If you read any of my books, email me, tell me what you thought, post a review. It doesn't have to be long. I would be happy with 5 stars, best book ever, but whatever. Anyways, thank you so much. I enjoyed sharing this information with you. And thanks to everybody for just listening to this, and to Amelia for having me on. And I love being part of the podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.